Welcome back to the channel and another ESO mechanics guide. Today we're going to be exploring the portal phase of veteran Sunspire during the final boss. By the end of this video, you should have complete understanding of what it takes to win on the portal team, on not just veteran, but hard mode as well. And if you enjoy this video, please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below if you did, or if you think I missed anything. With that, let's jump right in. Before we cover the portal mechanics, let's talk briefly about how you can prepare for being on the portal team. Currently in update 40, DPS are putting out a ton of damage, more than ever previously, especially with the Arcanist. In metas past, optimizing the 3 DPS for portals was very important, since when the 3 of you are in the portal, you won't be receiving any of the buffs from your other trial mates. However, as long as the portal team can do enough damage and survive, I would argue that it's more important that you are comfortable and confident on your character rather than fully optimized. As an example, I began running portals on a Necromancer along with 2 Arcanists, but switched my Nightblade, which I am much more comfortable with, and we did significantly better. In fact, the footage in this video is from that clear. My Nightblade is running 6 medium and 1 light armor, Kilnar's monster set, and the Master's Bow, with no mythic. Traditionally, members of the portal team would wear more light armor to increase their penetration because they're not getting those normal buffs from their teammates. And I still recommend this. But remember, a dead DPS does 0 damage, so do what's most comfortable for you and maximizes your personal damage. When going through the portal, if one person dies, it is highly unlikely you'll be able to clear, especially on hard mode. Ensuring no one dies is critical. I recommend using a tri-stat food like Sugar Skulls and a tri-stat potion at least until you are comfortable with the mechanics. Having at least 1 self-heal is recommended, and if you have another flex spot, having something like Structured Entropy that does damage and heals over time can be helpful. Finally, it's easy to say, but hard to do. Don't panic. This guide will help, but at the end of the day, being comfortable and confident in your rotation, knowing the mechanics, and practice will help ensure you maximize your DPS while not dying. It's going to take a lot of attempts to get good down there, so run this with a group that supports your portal team and has patience. During the boss fight, 3 DPS will have to go through portals that Navinatas opens 3 times. This phase will occur at 90%, 70%, and 50%. Especially on hard mode, I recommend that the 3 DPS ensure they have ultimates ready and all their potions and skills are off cooldown by around 2 to 3% beforehand. The team should have both a Warhorn and a Barrier ready and should proc those just prior to the portals appearing to help the portal team out. Navinatas will raise his head like this when summoning the portals, and they will appear in these 3 locations. The portal team now has 90 seconds to kill the Eternal Servant before it kills the entire group. On Veteran, the Eternal Servant has 3.2 million health, which means that each member of the portal team only has to do around 12k damage per second while staying alive. On hard mode, the mechanics are exactly the same, but the Servant has 10.2 million health, equating to about 37,000 DPS per person. So it's not a massive amount of damage that you have to do, but as you will see, staying alive can be tricky. Each portal fight follows the same sequence of attacks from the Eternal Servant, making it very predictable. During the fight, the 3 DPS should stay away from each other until a pin attack is about to occur, to ensure that they don't overlap any damage. The first attack will be a cone attack on the first person to go through a portal. You can safely ignore this first cone as it does 0 damage and is really a fake attack. The next attack will be a large lightning AoE on one person. This is also a negate and will silence anyone standing in it. This is the first attack in the sequence of attacks during the portal fight. It is important to ensure this does not drop on the Servant, as the negate will clear any damage over time effects you have placed on them. If it does drop on the Servant, it may slow your DPS, but keep on fighting and reapply your dots. I recommend keeping your distance from the Eternal Servant until the negate drops. Then move into melee range if desired. The next 2 attacks will be cone attacks. These can be blocked or dodge rolled. I recommend rolling once you have the timing figured out. Ensure you don't drag this on another portal buddy. After the second cone, the DPS should group up so that they can be ready to unpin each other during the next attack. After the second cone attack, the Eternal Servant will enter a pin and prayer phase. The first pin/prayer phase will pin 0 people, the second will pin 1 person, the third will pin 2 people, and the fourth will pin all 3 people. During this phase, you will see the Servant put their hands together, raise them above their head, and then slowly lower them to their chest while a yellow spinning light glows below their feet. Standing too close to the servant during the beginning of this will knock you back and stun you momentarily. The Eternal Servant must be interrupted before the servant raises their hands above their head a second time. If you don't interrupt them, they will travel upstairs and kill the rest of the group. I recommend interrupting them when their hands are just below their neck to allow you a bit of time to do extra damage, but interrupting early is okay too. You'll see during our fights, we are interrupting the Eternal Servant at the last possible second before they go back upstairs. After you interrupt the servant, one person will have a growing AoE under their feet. They should put this on the servant and block when it lands. This will place a whirlwind on the servant, doing extra damage to them. After the whirlwind, the servant will summon lightning strikes. It is critical the portal team keep their distance from each other during this phase and do not overlap damage. Be ready with your self-heals and don't panic. You don't need to move that far to avoid the lightning strikes and can stay in relatively the same area. Keep your feet in your cross-check and work through your rotation to keep damage up on the boss. You'll note that until now, there really hasn't been any damage from the boss at all. Now, though, is usually when one person will die. Note, if someone dies, it's not over. There is time to res during the second pin/prayer phase, but just barely, as you can see here. Never give up. While this lightning is occurring, the attack sequence from the boss now repeats itself from the beginning. The sequence is negate, cone, cone, pin/prayer, whirlwind, lightning. Negate, cone, cone, pin, prayer, whirlwind, lightning. Every pin prayer phase, one additional person will be pinned. That means during the fourth pin prayer phase, all 3 DPS will be pinned, and hopefully you have enough damage over time that the servant dies before going upstairs to terrorize the group. If not, it's game over. During these phases, to unpin, one DPS should run over a pinned teammate and synergize over them. Note, this can be pretty buggy, and sometimes the synergy won't appear exactly on the body, but is kind of somewhere near it. If this happens, focus on getting the interrupt first, then go back to unpin. Finally, there is a way that the upstairs team can actually help you during the fight. Upstairs, if anyone stands in a time stop, it'll send a glowing orb downstairs to the portal team. If the portal team walks over these, you'll get a momentary boost of damage. Alright, now that we explained all the mechanics, let's watch it in real time. So we're on the last portal phase. We're at 52% now, heading to the back of the arena to group up to get our barrier and warhorn. Our ultimate is ready and our potion is off cooldown. And now we're waiting for Navinatas to summon the portals. There it goes. And we're now going to head on through. That first cone attack is fake, so we're going to use this opportunity to get as many dots down as we can. He has now dropped the negate, and we can now run forward into melee range. That's one cone. A second cone has now dropped, getting ready for the prayer phase. His hands are in the air, and we're going to interrupt right there when they get to his chest to get as much damage in as possible. My teammate's now going to put whirlwind down, and we should be going into lightning phase. You can see we're also picking up the time stops that our teammates are sending down to us. That's the first negate and the first cone down. We can now get into melee range. Cone 2, we're going to now start to group up because there's going to be one pin. There it is. We got knocked back because we were a little bit too close. My teammate gets the interrupt while I get the unpin. I'm now going to put a whirlwind down on the servant, and we're going into lightning phase again. Now as lightning phase happens, there should be a negate. There it is. Now one cone. Second cone coming up. Both were on me. And now we're going to try to group up here. Oh, there's the pin on both teammates. My teammate gets knocked back. He goes for the unpin. I get the interrupt, and then he's going to get the unpin on my second teammate. And we repeat, whirlwind. Here we go with lightning phase. We're watching our feet, focusing on our rotation, and he's dead. We are back upstairs. Well, that just about covers everything you need to know to win on the portal team of Veteran, Sunspire, and Hard Mode. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like the video. Let me know what you think of the video in the comments down below, and what ESO guide you'd like to see next. And be sure to subscribe for more Elder Scrolls Online content. Thanks for joining, and see ya.